Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Olivia Radcliffe. I am owner of the Bluebell Group and creator of the Mom Boss Society. And I help moms with businesses hit six figures in revenue without sleazy sales tactics. And I'm here with Michelle. Michelle, let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michelle Pontvert or Pontvert, either is fine. I'm a branding and website designer, and I also work with mums who are service-based businesses specifically. And I love helping them when they're at that point of scaling so that they can have more time with their families and doing what they love, less time in the business. So share a very similar mission, I think.
Yes, we do. And that's why we thought we get on and we chat about this stuff and we figured might as well do it live because there's a ton of other mom bosses out there who are, working through the same stuff Michelle and I are
Mhm.
working through and share a little bit about what we do in our business and how we do it. I just finished a launch. Michelle's jumping into a launch. So
Yeah.
talk about how we do that with our kiddos and everything else
Mm.
we balance in life. So um, do you want to talk about your launch? Like, what do you
Yeah.
have going on? I know you got stuff coming up.
I do. So I've been working on building out a website template kit. So I'm usually working in Squarespace for websites, but I wanted to create a kind of system so that people could build their own websites from A to Z. So,
Mm,
yes, the website part of that, but knowing how to put together your branding and write your copy and then how to put it all together are all pieces that I feel like I keep kind of hearing is a challenge, is a sticking point for people in business when they're not quite ready to hire a designer yet. So, oh, sorry, mum duty is calling. um, so I've put together this kit and I really want to make it a super easy to use and valuable kind of system and ecosystem for people. So I'm including in it basically a course to train them how to use everything, put it all together. And then I'm having email support and a private Facebook group. So there's ongoing support. Really want this to be like a very all encompassing thing so that you can get your
yeah.
website done. So I'm in the midst of building all that out and planning the launch and doing beta tests soon. So that's kind of where I'm at. How about you, Olivia? I know you just finished yours.
Uh, yeah. Well, first off, what you just said sounds absolutely amazing. Like, I
Oh,
know
thank you.
I've been reading your posts as you put them out, and I've been getting your emails. And like every time I read them, I'm like, I definitely want that. I have a website. I want a better website. Like, is what you have, is it like, would it help moms who aren't really techie at all? Because I know that's
That's yeah,
big
that's a
overwhelm
big piece. Yeah, and that's a huge part of the puzzle. So I use Squarespace because I think it's the easiest platform for non-techie people to
there.
use. I'm including in like the training course just a general Squarespace 101 piece to show people like how it works and how to generally use the platform before diving into how to actually change and update the kit, the template in the kit themselves. There's a bit of code, but I promise it's not scary. You literally have to change
Yeah.
like two things to adjust your colors and your fonts and you're done. But I'll talk through it because I do think it's empowering to know how that works if you're interested, but you do not need to use it to be able to actually launch the website. So that's kind of the balance I'm trying to walk of giving a really great end result that's strategic, that fits the business, while not overwhelming people with the tech and scaring them off from actually finishing the website.
Yeah, that's the biggest. Um, Talking about my launch here, I will admit, rather reluctantly here, I will admit live to everyone that I opened the doors to the Mom Boss Society for the first time ever. We had a small founding member launch over the summer. I had this amazing group of founding women join, and then we opened to the general public. I went live and opened the doors. And on my webpage, like on my website, I do have a page that leads into it. I have a wait list up. I never took my wait list down when I launched. Um, it's still a wait list. We just closed the doors and it's a wait list again. So Um, so I know, like, in the whole time, we did a kind of a workshop. It was a 10-day workshop, had a bunch of moms join, and we just worked through some of these steps together. Um, and then opened the doors and gave the invite to join the membership. And so everyone I was talking to, I went directly from, the workshop into the membership. No one even touched my website. So, or at least as far as I know. So I knew it was there in the back of my head. Like, I knew I needed to do that, but just with everything else I had going on. And then my son started getting his eye teeth, which apparently are the worst.
They are terrible.
So he
My
started.
son's slightly older than Olivia's, so I'm like one step ahead of her there.
Yeah. No, mine just turned 19 months, and has almost a full set of teeth, but those eye teeth are like,
Ugh, yeah.
So then he was grumpy, and it was like, well, I'm not jumping on to do my website right now. And so that is something I think, and it became very daunting, was the point I was trying to make. It the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, it's really hard. I don't want to get on and do that. What if I mess it up? I don't want to take the wait list page down and then like get pulled away and not have anything to replace it with. And so I think having your entire thing right there, and the help you're providing and the support you have, I think that's really, really attractive. At least to me as a busy mom, that's definitely something I would be interested in.
That's awesome. That's really nice to hear. Thank you.
What are you planning on doing with your launch?
Yeah, so I also kind of want this founding members group set up. On TV duty. So I want to have this sort of beta test group go through everything and get some feedback, get some pointers of where people are getting stuck, because I'm a designer and I'm used to working in all of these tools. I know it like the back of my hand, but it's hard to see what's challenging to other people until you put them through it. So I really want to go through that to make sure I'm answering those people where they're at. So I'm putting that group together now, and then I'm hoping to get everything pieced together for them end of October and launch everything in November. I'm hitting up against this awkwardness with Black Friday. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, do I launch it on Black Friday? That seems like a terrible idea. So
your ad cost would be really expensive if you did on Black Friday, but
and it's like launching with a sale sounds stressful. So I'm debating that at the moment, but yeah, it's been odd timing because I've also hit up against some roadblocks with my son. He just started school, and that's been a big sort of milestone. It's just personally been a really challenging month or two, and it's shifted a lot of my feelings towards my business and how I want to approach things. And oddly, kind of serendipitously, the kit is going to be a really big piece of where I want to move forward, and thinking through how to be supportive to mums like us who are, time poor but intention rich. Like, we really know what we want to do, and I feel that so much when I talk to other mums building businesses. So weirdly enough, as I'm planning this kit and this launch, it's making me reevaluate my one-on-one services and how to make those more accessible and more supportive without being time restrictive. So like, I've gone into this whole thing of like, how do I make an entirely asynchronous design process so that, like, if we were working together, you could give me feedback when you have time, not when we're on a call, and I can give you like deliverables and things to get feedback on without having to ever get on calls. So neither of us get stuck with toddlers in the background and feeling stressed out. So it's oddly enough, this like really challenging personal moment has given me a lot of ideas of how to shape my offers to be more supportive when my people are in this space. So
well, that's like, you touched on something that I think is really big there, that a lot of people kind of newer in business don't really embrace. A lot of people don't want, no one really wants to mess up or wants to have like hardships or things like that. But I think once you get to the point of embracing them as lessons, and instead looking at them like you did, of like, I'm really busy. How do I shift this? How do I do this with my own toddler? This is how I can help support others better who are facing the same issues. And it kind of turned into the same thing with me. Every time there's any sort of hardship with having a toddler and running a business and, all your other things in life, it becomes a very real teachable moment of something I can do to help support the other women I work with, or a
Mm.
very shareable moment of, look, this is what happened to me. This is how I overcame it or didn't. And just
The
have an
lesson
honest,
learned, at least.
yeah, just have an honest conversation about it with people.
Mm.
And I think no matter what industry you're in or no matter what your audience is, those kinds of moments really do help. They can really help shape how you support your audience better. They can
Mm.
really help humanize you to your audience a bit, I think. And I think ultimately those kind of, like busy mess up moments
Mm.
to help make you grow more in the end. Now, I know that seems very contradictory to a lot of people, um,
I don't
though.
think so. I think that's what life is. It's
Exactly,
messy and you figure
exactly,
it out. Do
exactly.
you feel like there's been any of those in this launch that you've kind of maybe not gone the way you wanted and taking a lesson from that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, there's always things like, like the waitlist page, for
Mm.
example. I would have loved to have had a sales page already up and running. And, um, you know, instead of, I don't like outsourcing the design stuff because I really like to do it.
Mm.
So, I should have outsourced maybe, or, should have done it ahead of time. And it just didn't work out that way. But I think it's totally fine. And next launch, okay, this launch, we're good. I'll debrief. I'll look at the numbers. I'll see what worked, see what didn't work, what I want to
Mm.
do differently. And then the next time we open the doors, I will definitely have a sales page ready by then. It's all about like taking a step back and just
Mm.
looking at the numbers kind of objectively, kind of
Yeah.
taking the emotion out of it a bit, which can be really,
Mm.
really hard, especially for a lot of female entrepreneurs I work with. Um,
Yeah.
and giving yourself a bit of grace and not trying to hold yourself to some perfect level,
Yeah.
and going from there. But yeah, but there are always times, I did a live Q&A session. I talked for like 45 minutes, and it was later at night, so there weren't a ton of people on live,
Mm.
with the time zones the ladies were in. And I had pulled the questions and I'd covered my screen a bit, so I couldn't see any of the comments coming in. And then at the end of 45 minutes, I go to wrap up and I just look real quick to skim through the comments to see if there's any more questions. And there's a bunch of, we can't hear you. There's no sound. There's no audio. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my
no.
gosh. And then I downloaded the video and like watched it back myself. And it's like, yeah,
Mm.
within 30 seconds, I go to grab my microphone and I pulled it towards me and I hit the mute button on the mic. And
Oh, no.
um, so but I deleted that live video from the group. I jumped right back on and I did it again. And I told them exactly what had happened. And it became a very real, like, teachable moment of,
Yeah.
yep, I don't hit the mute button on your mic. Like, just be aware of that. I don't, yeah. And now I'm very
Oh,
conscious
no.
of like that button and
I'm
always
sure, yeah.
checking to make sure the light's still on. So,
No,
but
but I think that's lovely. In many ways, it feels like you're taking an approach of, like, parenting yourself through
yeah.
those hardships, and, like, I think as mums, it can be so easy to parent others, but I think we need that too, and I just like the way you're talking about it, it really makes me think of that sense of parenting yourself through those moments.
That's a really interesting connection, and I think you're right. I didn't really think of it that way, but maybe that's why being a parent has kind of helped me have a little bit more, grace and with
Mm.
myself, and be a little more forgiving. Whereas
Yeah.
before I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, Olivia, I can't believe you did that." Now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
learn
Do you
from it.
feel
We're
like
good.
yeah, I only started my business after being a mum. Do you feel like you've felt different in your business or behaved differently in your business since becoming a mom? Because 'Cause
Oh
you've
yeah.
seen both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before I was a mom, I was like incredibly hard on myself about,
Mm,
getting things perfect. I would want to get it perfect before I launched,
yeah.
or, if there was a typo on my one of the landing pages or an ad or something, I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm an idiot. And now it's like, I don't know. I chilled out a bit, I guess. I don't know. It just
There are other more important things now.
Yes, there are other more important things, and it really did
Mm,
become. And I think some of that. I think some of that is becoming a mom, but then there's also
oh,
the growth as an entrepreneur because it was, just getting started, and it felt like um, how people interacted with my business felt very, very personal. So if people
mm,
didn't like a post, or
yeah.
people never jumped on the live videos, then I felt like it was a very direct um, reaction to me. And
Mm,
now I've grown as an entrepreneur a bit. I've been able to understand that um, it's not about me. I can remove
yeah.
myself a little bit emotionally from that and look at it much more of a kind of like a formula of, okay, if this didn't work, what didn't work about it? Kind
Mm,
of looking at it from that angle, and
yeah.
understanding that if there's not 100 people on, it's really okay. Like an audience of one is still an audience. And
Mm,
coming at it from a place of wanting to show up and support, just serve and help and love on that
yeah.
one person or 100 or 1,000, however many people show up.
Mm,
But what has been with your business getting going after being a
mm.
mom? What has been the biggest hardship? How old was your little when you started?
He was 1 and a handful of months when
Uh-huh.
I sort of truly started, but I planted the seeds to start my business, basically when he was 1. I took a boot camp for UX UI design, before I launched into my web design business because I really wanted to have that foundation, so
Mhm.
I kind of count that as, like, pre-launching my business too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but I think and in so many ways, having my son really shifted my priorities, and I'd already gone through a big shift. Like a little bit of backstory about me, I actually used to be a set decorator for film and TV shows back in Los Angeles,
No
and
way.
yeah, so I used to work on like TV shows. My husband still works in film, and that was very much my dream and my passion. And once I got into that industry, I kind of started working with these women I was really in awe of and
Mhm.
got to see their lives a bit up close. And I was like, oh, I don't want this anymore because I saw all these women with like Oscars and Emmys with careers I would have like killed for, with like unhappy family lives or missing out on having kids because they were too
Mhm.
busy or in like broken relationships. And I just, it kind of shattered my world a little bit because I had always wanted to be a mum and always wanted to be a very like family focused person. That was super important to me more than a career. But I
Mhm.
basically just shut that piece of my life down, moved to France because my boyfriend, now husband, is French, and just started like completely over. So I already had this thing ingrained in me of like family must come first, way before my son even showed up. And then once he was here, it just clarified the sense of like, oh, okay, like family comes first, but he comes first, even like above and beyond everything else. And
Mhm.
my husband works away from home for several months at a time. So at the moment, I'm going on 5 months of being like solo parent.
Mhm.
So my business is 100% shaped around his need for me and my need to be a present parent. But I kind of also need something for myself. And this business is in many ways feeding that need as well. Like it's my hobby and my friendships and like the me time
Mhm.
almost exclusively. Like I'm mummy or I'm in my business world. And it's been so healthy for me as like a person to have that and that space for me and something to work on, and working with other people who are also in that space and also share that kind of passion for building a life around their families, not fitting their families around their lives. And as soon as I kind of latched onto that as the kind of through line, everything just started to click in place. I was like, okay, I know who I need to serve. I know who I need to connect with, because this is in many ways like the theme of my adult life, of realizing like, oh, the way that I thought life was going to go, the career I thought I wanted to be in just wasn't going to work. So let's reshape everything. And I take a very like experimenter's mindset to all of this of like, well, doesn't work, let's try again, let's like reshape things, because the through line is so solid of like, it's family and my son first, and everything must fit around that. So I think him showing up just solidified this feeling that it was already kind of brewing in me.
Yes. I love that. You put that very, very well. I like
Oh,
that
thank you.
idea of the through line like that and shaping everything else around it. That's
Yeah.
mirrors kind of how I felt also. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I
Yeah.
knew that was my true calling, if I can put it
Yeah.
that way. Um, and so I was already wanting to kind of shape a business and
Mhm.
my life around that family even before I had, my
Yeah.
son.
Ah.
Um, and I think that's where a lot of people, that's where there's a huge disconnect there with a lot of people.
Mm.
I remember when I did find out I was pregnant, and I was telling him, they're like, okay, well, you're gonna stop your business stuff, right? Like, you're just gonna get a
Like,
safe
that's the
9
whole point.
like, no, why would I do that? And they're like, well, isn't that pretty selfish? Like, don't
Mm.
you need to be like, you need something static and like,
Yeah.
safe to be able to support your son. Because right now I'm the sole financial provider for him, and it's like and it became, I don't know. It just, and this was coming from people who I know love me, and
Mm.
to feel that doubt from other people started to make me be
Yeah.
like, am I crazy? Am I selfish for doing this? Like, really?
Yeah.
Um, but the more I see it, the more I see, women like you and a lot of the moms I work with who have
Mm.
really embraced that mindset that it doesn't have to be work and then family fitting in
Yeah.
around it, or, that constant struggle of trying to find that work-life balance.
Mm.
I think work-life balance kind of is much more of a mesh thing. It's more like an equation than
Yeah.
true equality between the two. I think
I completely agree. I think it's a sort of fallacy that you can have the perfect balance, because it's constantly evolving, and like
yeah.
one day it will look like this and another day it will look like that. As long as you feel good about it, I think that's the point
Yeah,
ultimately.
yes, yes, and growing that business that lifestyle business, the
Yeah.
business that is your lifestyle that all kind of melds together. I think that's a really amazing mindset and really different from how a lot of other people think about things. But
Yeah. No, I think I think there's a lot of reasons why we get on. We're very
yeah,
aligned in
yes.
all of this. But I do find it so interesting that like you had the forethought to start this business before your son came around. Do you feel like there were other pieces in play that made you want to start the business focused on mums, or was it your experience as a mum or mom? I say mum the Australian way.
Oh, mom, that's good. Um, no, I didn't even make a conscious decision to do
Mm.
that. That's just kind of where my natural energy went, and it was just
Yeah,
happened to be the people I attracted back to me.
that's
And
so cool.
it's just, I started actually as kind of a life wellness coach. Because I had asked my boyfriend at the time what I should do. He's like,
Mm.
you should do that. And I was like, I don't know anything about that, but okay. And I went and I got certified and I started in that. But it was
Mm.
funny because all my new clients happened to be entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
have marketing questions, which was something I was very passionate about, and what my
Mm.
experience had been in. And then they were all women, and then they were all moms dealing with young kids. And it was like it just evolved. And then when
Yeah.
I became a mom with a young kid, it was like,
Oh.
boom, it just all clicked into place.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I'm by no means saying my business isn't going to evolve again. It's
I think it
all,
always evolves.
yeah, it's all constantly evolving. But
Yeah.
um, I think if we kind of give ourselves that space to kind of listen to our intuition and kind of
Yeah.
let our natural strengths and talents guide us instead of trying to force ourselves to do something that, the market wants or the industry wants or what other people say
Yeah.
we should do. I think things flow much easier if we can take that
I
space to do
100%
that.
agree. I think there's this, yeah, a level of self-awareness that is really valuable in business, especially when we are solopreneurs. I think if you don't know truly what you want and who you are and who you attract and who you find compelling, it's going to be so much harder to do like the niching stuff everyone tells you
Mhm.
to, or your marketing. Like all of that comes from just kind of self-awareness. And I don't know, I find it really fascinating. I've always been like very drawn to people, and empathy is something I'm like very interested in, but it's been quite a good like self-discovery process. Even then, as someone who feels pretty attuned to myself, going through this entrepreneurship, I'm like, oh, I've learned so much about how I feel about things and
Mhm.
who I, yeah, like naturally connect with. And it's been fascinating. I feel like if you want good free therapy, like start a business.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. No, it's perfect. And there is something, with the marketing side of things where
Mm,
um, you have to, I feel like all marketing is built off of quality communication. But before you can communicate well with others, you have to be able to communicate well
mhm.
with yourself.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the hardest thing for people just getting into marketing to
yeah,
understand. And that's why a lot of people have issues with, sounding like themselves or sounding salesy, or, they feel like
mhm.
they don't know what to post. They don't know what to say. They're spending hours putting together social media posts and second guessing all the words. And I used to be the same way too when I started,
Yeah,
but um, it's almost um, kind of a paradox of you have to have good marketing and a good messaging. You have to look at being in a place of serving your audience and
mhm.
thinking about them and having that empathy towards them. But in order to do that, you have to do that with yourself first. It's really
Yeah,
hard to have a ton of empathy for others if you don't
you
understand yourself also.
yeah. I 100% agree. I often lead people through brand strategy, which is a lot of this kind of stuff of like helping them reflect back on why this business is really here and what the core messaging is and like their values and their brand voice. And I love leading people through that. And when I tried to lead myself through it, was really challenging. And I ended up asking another designer to help lead me through it because it is so hard to have those kind of like conversations with yourself and dig into it because you're too close. You're like, you're in the bottle. You can't read the
Right,
label. You can't see it.
right.
And it's, yeah, it's such a fascinating thing of once you do get that right, it all clicks and it makes sense. But until you see it, you can't see it.
Yes, yes. Until you see it, you can't see it. That's
Yeah.
yes. Perfect.
My
Perfect.
weird phrasings.
No, I think that works really well. And I think I don't know, I think that I like what you're talking about with walking people through that with your branding. So
Mm,
do you do you still, I know you're working towards your kit and
yeah.
putting that's going to be more of your direction. Do you do a lot of one-to-one work? How are
Yeah,
you?
I do, and that's been sort of my mission over the last like month is reworking what those one-on-one services look like to be again this level of support and yeah, like alignment with this value of family first. So I've got together VIP intensives, which is a way to do like a website refresh or a brand refresh or tech help.
Mhm.
And framing that as something that really spans like 2 days so that there's lots of space and time for feedback during that gap between the 2 days. I'm also doing like custom design work, which I have a base sort of package I put together, but I customize that quite a lot depending on people's needs and their timelines. And that's really fun. And then we kind of did this a little bit, but I offer audits, which are some of my favorite things to do. It's basically like a deep dive into someone's website with a kind of idea in mind of their goals and their kind of outcomes they want from the website. And I have started putting that marketing spin, I guess, on it to be a conversion assessment, because ultimately for service providers who are my people, that's really what we want.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to optimize for ads. We're not really as usually as keen on figuring out the SEO piece. You want to make sure that once you get those people on the website, they actually go ahead and work with you if it's a good fit. So I've been doing those. I love that. And I, again, taking out the time piece of that and doing it asynchronously. So they send me some like info up front. I go through the website, do a really deep dive. I do a Loom video and a written report and have like email support afterwards. And I love doing those. Like, I think I'll lean much heavier into that in the upcoming months because it just makes me so happy. And I feel like it's a quick win for other people. They feel really empowered. And that also really like sits well with me. Of like, I don't want to make people feel beholden to a designer. I want to be able to equip them with the tools they need, whether that's setting up the website and teaching them how to use it, whether it's like creating something custom and then being the support for them if that's what's empowering, or showing them how to do it themselves. Like, all of those things make me happy. So I'm shifting and shaping how that can be really supportive and fit with my responsibilities as a family first business too.
Absolutely. Well, and I was
Yeah.
going to say, I think your idea, like how you're kind of using those audits, which, you did an audit on my homepage, and just that short little overview you did for me was amazing. I
Aw.
mean, I know enough about the website and the branding stuff to be dangerous, but it really was a very, as you said, a quick win, and it really does empower people. So that's a really good example of a way to utilize your strengths and something you love to do as kind of a lead magnet or an opt-in or a list builder, whatever you want to call it, to start to bring people into your world. And as you pointed out, as a busy mom, it's something where they send you the info ahead of time. You look at it whenever you want to. You set your own schedule with that. You create the Loom video and send it back to them. There is some labor involved in there. It's not a completely hands-off, lead magnet, but it is a very quick way to wrap that around your schedule and get them a very quick win. Plus, it starts to build rapport with them, and they get to see a little bit about your personality as well. And it's a wonderful lead magnet. I think it's, from a marketing perspective, I think it's perfect. So,
that's lovely to hear. Yeah, I put together like a free training that is the core lead magnet, but I think I need to really put these audits front and center because they are just something I really enjoy doing. And I think, like you said, like they're really a quick, easy thing for people to grab and get into my world and get to know me better. So,
and maybe it's a good thing to use. Maybe it's a good thing to use for like a warmer audience, or make sure it's an audience, the people who go through your first magnet first, and then this is the next step, or but I think it's great. And then how you're talking about all the rest of your things and how you are kind of working people through. There's the different options to work with you as far as the free lead magnets, then the one step up, and then there's the kit, which is more of a done for you with the help, or done.
It's DIY with
DIY. Sorry, that's the term. DIY, but with the help. And then there is the one-to-one, and that is something I teach to my clients, is having that offer suite funnel that kind of walks people deeper into your area of expertise, and increasing their value to you and to themselves as well. So
I love that. I think I always approached it from a sense of like, I want to meet people where they're at. I don't want them to have to meet me where I'm at. Like, my offers should be to serve. So like, I need to meet them at all the different stages that the people I attract are at, versus like forcing them into the box I made with the service. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
I think, again, very aligned.
Very aligned.
You're still offering some other things other than the mastermind, right? What's your suite?
Yes. So I'm actually totally revamping my one-to-one services.
Nice.
And I do have a course, kind of a group coaching coming out as well here this fall. So I've kind of hit the drawing board again and redoing my sales pages for everything. So I actually have stuff on my website. But no, it's looking along the lines of how can I better serve my clients. And I realized that what I had before was serving them not to the extent I could be, but also not serving myself very well.
Yeah.
And it was not really sustainable with the lifestyle I wanted to build. So
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. I've been talking to other mums who are at that stage too, and there's a lot of like kind of expected ways you offer services or like the way it's done, and that doesn't always fit with our lives. And I love that you're taking that time to be like, yes, I can serve them better and more, but also like what serves me and what
yeah,
I
exactly.
feel good about delivering. And I love that.
That's you have to feel good about what you offer. If you don't, your marketing's going to fall flat. You're going to
But you
hate
won't
it
do it.
and you won't do it. And then the people who you're trying to serve are going to feel that. Like they will feel that energy, whether you plaster a smile on your face or not. Like
Yeah.
they'll feel if you don't want to do it. And that's what I was doing with my one-to-ones before is I had an offer called Precision Consultation that was, I mean, it was a really amazing deal because it was either monthly or yearly. Most people did an annual thing. You got unlimited 15-minute micro, like precision consultation trainings. And so I had a lot of people who were just really taking advantage of that. And that didn't suit my lifestyle, to
Yeah,
have
that sounds
to,
really hard to deliver.
it was really hard to deliver. But then on the flip side, I did have other people though who weren't taking advantage of the unlimited thing, and they heard unlimited and this year-long thing, and it kind of took away the urgency for them.
Yeah,
And
it
so
goes
then
on the shelf.
so then they weren't making the progress they wanted. They kind of put stuff on the back burner and, well, I'll talk with her next month. I have unlimited calls. And so it was kind of a lose-lose because my time was being taken up and not in a productive way. And then I had all these other people who I wasn't helping. And that's, the main goal with business, right? Is I want to help people. And so, my new offer is, I think, much more aligned with actually helping people. There is more of a deadline to them getting stuff done, and suits my schedule much better also. So
Are you prepared to share? I'm so curious.
Yeah, no, I do. I'll be broad with the details because I'm
Go for it.
No, I do. I have more of a training program lined up, and so there is a group coaching aspect. And if all you want is group coaching, that's fine. We'll go through the training. We'll have our group one-to-one or group calls, and then if you want more, then I will do the trainings with you on a one-to-one setting. And so on.
I like
my side of things, it allows me to provide this value to people and let them choose their level of help there. If they are more DIY people, they can do it with the group help. If they need more one-to-one. And then I do have, beyond that, I always have just the direct one-to-one, whatever you need services as well, that people could just book my time and we'll work on whatever you want. But
I love that. I think that, again, it's like hand-holding when people feel like they need a little accountability or a little bit more support. And I think that's really, meeting people where they're at, like we were talking about before. I love that.
Yeah. And it suits my audience well too, because I work with, moms with businesses, and this program specifically is geared towards helping those moms like yourself, myself, who are just really, really busy with things and maybe need a leg up with the marketing. They need some help. They need, they want to hit that next level, but are kind of having a hard time balancing just all the things they need to do. Maybe there's a lot of overwhelm in there with all the things they think they should do. So the whole point is to help them cut through that clutter and just, okay, where's your goal? We're going to hit it in like, I think 90 days was how long the program goes. So
that's so cool. I feel like there's a lot of coaching in there as well, of like helping people figure it out, but also holding accountable and like all that wonderfulness that coaching can kind of help you achieve on top of marketing strategy, I think.
Yeah. Well, and beyond that, once you understand these concepts and these strategies, you can take them and put them towards anything in your business, right? Most of whether it's marketing or branding or, customer retention or anything that you face with your business, most of the mindset strategies and things are kind of, transferable. They're universal across business. So
yeah, I agree. I think, there's a lot of overlap in all those different areas. And I think once you've got it to click in one, it's much easier to kind of bring it to the next. So that's a good observation.
But, well, I see my little is starting to stir from his nap, and I know you've been on double duty right there. So we'll wrap up here, but it was lovely to talk with you. I hope everyone watching here got some interesting tidbits. I know I sure did. I'm definitely going to watch the replay because I kept having ideas as you were talking about what you were doing with your launch. So.
Oh, well, this was so much fun, and we'll definitely be doing this again. I think there's so much overlap with what we do and our approaches that there's, minefield of things we could chat about. But this was really cool, and I'm looking forward to hearing more details about your launch. I'm sure you'll kind of share that around, but I just love digging into behind the scenes. That's like the film kid in me. I just love all that.
Maybe that's what we should do for the next one. We should take a look at our behind the scenes of the launches. So your launch coming up, I'll go over the debrief stuff from my launch I just had, and then we'll talk, since my product's a little different from what you've got coming out, like the different launch strategies behind it. Look at how to do that behind the scenes. So
love it. Tease the new thing.
Yes, exactly. Come back, ladies. There's so much more.
So the true marketer.
Always. But all right, everyone watching, thank you so much for joining. If you want to get a hold of either of us, you want to learn more, you have questions, just comment below. We'll keep an eye on the comments. Or Michelle, do you want to share your email or anything?
Yeah, so email's hello@michellepontvert, MichellePontvert.com. And also Instagram, same, Michelle Pontvert. My website, it's all the same. No one else has this last name, so it's pretty easy. And how about you, Olivia? Where can people find you?
You can go to thebluebellgroup.com, or you can reach me again, Facebook, Instagram, either at the Bluebell Group, or reach out to me directly, Olivia Radcliffe. Or you can always email me if you're more old school and go olivia@thebluebellgroup.com. And I'll make sure all our contact info is in there in case anyone has questions. So, all right. With that, I think we'll sign off, ladies. We'll talk with you all soon.
Bye.